Welcome to the Reality Whisperer Webcast. We would like to thank our sponsors. Dr. Mulder's Wishing Machine, the most affordable radionics machine found online. Amplify your manifestations as the wishing machine aids you in bringing your abundance to life. Visit freecharm.com/bradjohnson.html for more info and to purchase your wishing machine. Link is available in the video description. Portal to Ascension, online conscious events from renowned experts all over the world. Find out the latest scheduled seminars by visiting portaltoascension.org. Link is available in the video description. And Pot of Gold YouTube channel, profound compilation videos that share deep levels of truth and disclosure information. Link is available in the video description. And now your host of the Reality Whisperer Webcast, Brad Johnson. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Reality Whisperer Webcast. I, of course, am your host, Brad Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast this evening. We have a very exciting topic that we're going to be discussing. I do have a presentation slideshow that we're going to be experiencing here in the next couple of minutes, and of course Adronis is going to be coming through here in a little bit as well, and he's going to be providing insight in regards to our topic tonight, which is Agartha and the Inner Earth. Now, the last time I talked about this was actually our debut episode that was called Secrets of the Earth, and that was more of a generalized aspect, a lot about the Earth in general. But tonight we're mostly focusing on the Agarthan side of things, the Inner Earth aspect. So there's going to be quite a lot of incredible information that's going to be coming through again through the presentation slides, and of course through Adronis, who's going to be sharing his information. And then of course later on in the broadcast we'll be taking live questions from the audience through the live chat. So if you guys do have questions later on, you can just feel free to copy and paste them or write them out. But again, try and save your questions once we get into the Q&A. That way it's just a little bit easier for me to find them rather than scrolling through the entire chat window. But anyways, thank you so much for being here this evening. And so we just have a couple of announcements before we begin. So this coming Sunday, October 30th, we have the next Adronis pay-per-view webinar online event. Adronis Navigating the Dimensions, Stories of Beings Discovered in Other Dimensions of Reality, and How to Explore the Cosmic Realms. So again, this is leading into more of our previous webinar, which was Adronis Building the Light Body. And so after building the light body, now we're looking more into the idea of navigating the dimensions. So if you haven't seen that pay-per-view webinar, there's two ways to see it. Number one is you can go to realitywhisperer.com and you can go to the Reality Whisperer library, as there's all kinds of videos there for $11.99 per month, and you can access the library. And of course, Adronis Building the Light Body is in the library as well right now. Second option is if you hail from Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, or Australia, you can actually go to the my YouTube channel, and you can actually purchase the copy of Adronis Building the Light Body right through the YouTube channel. So that's just another option that is available, and I'm going to be doing that for future pay-per-view webinars as well. Again, just for the 4 countries right now: Canada, US, United Kingdom, and Australia. And so you guys will be able to purchase that online, and you can check it out, and it's yours for good after purchase. So again, this is just all part of spreading the ability of the webinar and getting it out there and sharing it, and really enjoying an incredible webinar because it was very, very informative. But anyways, you'll be caught up to speed relating to everything that was talked about regarding the light body. And of course, you're going to enjoy navigating the dimensions, where again, you don't have to know too much about building the light body, but it certainly helps because there will be some refresher information coming in. But again, it's going to be a really, really exciting event, and that is happening this coming Sunday, October 30th, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And of course, the admission includes live and on-demand viewing. So to register, just go to realitywhisperer.com. And of course, we have another event coming up here in November. And this is going to be happening in Victoria, BC, Canada. and it's called Unity Church, or I should say the Church of Truth, not the Unity Church, the Church of Truth in Victoria, BC. And this is the very first Expansion Teachings live event. So there are going to be more Expansion Teaching live events happening in the months to come, but this is the very first one. And we're looking into channeling mastery. So communicate with the subconscious and connect with your spirit guides and higher self. There is also a meetup group that is created right now that is called the Expansion Teachings Meetup Group. And you can find that on realitywhisperer.com. And of course, you can grab admission as well too through the website. So that is happening on Sunday, November 20th at 6:30. And again, more on the website. If you're interested in attending, there is in-person attendance and online attendance. So this event is going to be video streamed throughout the world, so everybody will be able to tune into it. All right, so those are the announcements. Also, one other thing I forgot to mention is the next Reality Whisperer webcast is actually going to be happening this coming Saturday. So this Saturday we have a special guest. It is Barbara Goldsmith, and she is a professional astrologer of over 30 years. So we're going to be talking about the universe of astrology. And so that is going to be happening this Saturday, I should say. This Saturday at a special time at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. So again, you can find out more information by going to realitywhisperer.com. There's more information also on my Facebook that will be coming up as well too. So for those of you that are already friended me on Facebook, that information will be coming. And I'm going to be putting the poster up tonight on realitywhisperer.com to find out about this really amazing event. It's going to be all about the universe of astrology, and Barbara Goldsmith just has a very successful YouTube channel, and I'm really looking forward to interviewing her. But this coming Saturday of the Reality Whisperer webcast will be the official webcast for next week. So after the Saturday broadcast, we will not have a webcast on Tuesday, but the following Tuesday after that will be the next Reality Whisperer webcast. Okay, I believe that's it for announcements, unless I'm forgetting anything else, which I do not think I am. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Agartha and the Inner Earth. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the Inner Earth, specifically from one particular whistleblower that is known as Corey Good. And he has certainly talked about his personal experiences of going into the Agarthan network and being able to communicate with a race of humans that exist within Agartha. And they basically, from his perspective, are referred to as the Enchar. Now, I have not put any of Corey's information in there because, again, that's basically his perspective. And it's not to say it's wrong or anything like that, but that's mostly just his own truth. But there are certainly similarities in regards to what he has received and shared that I've also received as well too from Adronis and connecting with the universal mind, and also seeing how this correlates with what a lot of other people have discovered relating to Agartha and the Inner Earth. So what is Agartha? When we're looking at Agartha, what does it mean? Well, it basically would represent the idea of an inner kingdom, everything that represents an earth within an earth, a world within a world. So Agartha really is what you would consider to be our ancestors, other particular sentient beings that exist within these vast environments that are contained inside the planet. And it's like being inside another Earth while you're still inside the Earth as well too. So is the Inner Earth hollow? The Inner Earth contains hollow vaults, but would not be defined as entirely hollow. So this is something that Adronis has talked about in the past. He refers to it as a clustered Earth. Other whistleblowers have referred to it as a honeycomb Earth. That would represent more of the accurate description of it. So a lot of people, when you feel that you're connecting with the Inner Earth, that you have the two poles, you have the north and you have the southern poles, and that we have these two particular dimensional portals that are opening up. And you can actually go inside these portals, and that would bring you into the world of the Inner Earth. So again, there's been a lot of theories as it pertains to these dimensional portals. When they open up, how long do they open up for, where exactly do they lead to? And I don't think anyone really knows that. A lot of it in regards to those particular poles that are opening are showing a dimensional gateway from what I've received. It's like a portal. It's like going into another dimensional stargate and actually being able to tune into a very, very different type of world. It may be something very, very different than what we understand as the honeycomb or vault-based or clustered Earth that we may be familiar with. You may actually be going into a different dimensional Earth of a different density and different dimension. So again, there's a lot of speculation as it pertains to the inner Earth in regards to the poles. So these underground caverns are so large that one could say an Earth within an Earth would be witnessed. So again, just that diagram there of a honeycomb Earth, and that's representing the idea that we have all of these vaults, all of these immense caverns, crystal caves as well too, which is not something I was able to pull up into the slideshow presentation, but we were actually able to see these vast, amazing caverns that contain these enormous crystals, and all of these crystals are alive. They very much are sentient intelligence as well too, which we'll be getting into a little bit later on. But there's been a lot of speculation about feeling that the inner Earth may actually be hollow, that there's just this gigantic open space right in the center of the Earth. But Adronis has basically commented on this as well too, and he stated that basically looking at it in that context would be to see as if your own body was hollow itself. Now I'm sure if we drained a lot of the fluids from our body, then of course we would be able to see a lot of hollow openings, we'd see a lot of vaults, etc. But we wouldn't see that the entire body itself is hollow. There is again a lot within ourselves. And the same thing goes with the Earth. In fact, when we were looking into the Earth herself, there is even another ocean, like a second ocean, that exists within the inner mantle of the planet as well too, that apparently holds 3 times more water than our own surface-based water that we can that we're investigating as well too. So there's a lot of secrets as it relates to our Earth, and being able to imagine that, seeing these incredible, enormous seas, these oceans that exist, well, that would basically answer the question about how these particular beings that would exist within the inner vaults would be able to get water. Water is plentiful from the Earth as well, so that basically there would be no problem in doing that. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the inner Earth civilizations. We're going to firstly look at the human races. Now, all 5 root races exist within the inner Earth, as well as reports of a 6th root race with blue skin. So there has been the feeling of a blue skin race that does exist within the vaults of the inner Earth, the vaults of Agartha, and they themselves are an indigenous human race. So we do have 6 different root races that exist within the inner Earth. They are reported as being the true indigenous race of the Earth spanning back millions of years. Now again, that is something that they have claimed in that way, and of course there may be no doubt about that. What I have discovered though personally, through my own understandings and through a lot of other people that have shared, we could understand that probably the most ancient form of sentient life in this galaxy isn't actually human, and it isn't actually reptilian either. It is insectoid. And so basically there are ancient insectoid races. Again, we'll be getting into the insectoids here in a bit. But there are basically ancient insectoid races that have been, I guess you could say, the genesis builders to a lot of different planets. And so the human races in that sense are races that came together later on. They represent a different purpose. And so as we're looking into insectoid races, as we're looking into aquatic races, as we're looking into reptilian races, Sasquatch races, human races, etc., these all have different branches and extensions of themselves that come together at a certain point. But really what happens first upon the planet is the elements, the elemental realms, being able to construct the planet through the kingdom of the elements, being able to have this thriving atmosphere, this thriving environment, which would then allow the flora and fauna to come together. So then we have vegetation, we have nature, which is of course more abundant than anything else. We have, again, the tree population, the mushrooms, the fruit, the vegetables, everything that really comes together. In fact, mushrooms themselves are very extraterrestrial in that way. They hold knowledge of millions of different worlds. And fungus itself would actually be the largest organism that we would be aware of on the planet. So anyways, getting back into the human races, highly advanced, agricultural, technological, and 4th density aligned. So when you actually go inside the Earth, there is a barrier. It's like we're going through a barrier when we go very, very deep inside. We're talking about several vertical miles. And that apparently when you go that deep into the Earth, you're actually moving into a fourth density construct. You're basically experiencing a type of third density. Again, where we're kind of going now is we're moving more into a fourth density construct, but as how it used to be, is that we would have a third density construct upon the surface because of the rays of the sun, because of the atmosphere. And of course, if you're going very much more deeper into the Earth, this apparently creates a density puncturing, and you're actually able to move more into a fourth density energy. Not only in that sense is it available environmentally, but it's also consciously. So basically, being a fourth density culture is to have a very different personality, a very different attitude, a very different way of life. And that there have been many reports of these incredible human beings existing within the inner Earth that have a very advanced aspect. We would simply see them very much similar to how these enlightened extraterrestrial beings would act as well too. Very much filled with love, very agriculturally responsible, being able to take good charge of their planet, being able to function as stewards for nature, being able to communicate naturally with animals, with plants, with nature itself, and just being able to see them as equal, right? And that's a fourth density concept. That's moving into love, responsibility, and stewardship, which is really what fourth density represents. And so that is basically what is being acclaimed in regards to the information that Adronis has shared. Corey Good has also shared information about this as well too, that there are fourth density mentality existing within the inner Earth human races that exist. And some of them have had some problems with us as well too. There are those within the inner Earth that do definitely want to help us, and there are those in that sense that want nothing to do with us. Especially stewards of the Earth who offered Atlantean crystal technology that was later retracted due to misuse. So we hear a lot of stories about the Atlanteans and using crystal technology, and that this was basically given to them by the Agartha network. And so they had this particular technology to be used. It was given to them out of love, and later on it became abused, being able to utilize this as a weapon of war. And that was never its intention. And so around the time or after the time to where Atlantis fell, the crystals were retracted back. They were given back into the inner community and basically locked away, and saying that this will not happen again. We will not be able to share this type of technology until mankind proves to themselves that they are capable of utilizing this in a safe, responsible, and mature way. So again, that is something also that has been reviewed and shared by Adronis. So again, very, very interesting, and that's what we would notice if we were going inside the inner Earth and we were able to meet any of these particular human races. Again, Corey Good refers to them as the Enshar, and that they have these holographic crystals, they have this holographic technology, they have these kind of pod chairs, and you can connect consciously with them, and you can create this interface, and you can interact with many other beings throughout this interconnectedness. Their technology is outstanding, and basically it's what we could refer to as consciousness technology or crystalline technology as well. It is a relationship, it's organism to organism in that sense. So we can simply refer to it as technology. They would simply see it as relationship bonding together with other elements within our planet that would assist in their way of life and assist in regards to their connection to oneness. All right, so moving on. So here's the crystalline beings. So spirit beings inhabiting the vessels of enormous crystals within the inner Earth. So again, there's a lot of incredible images. If you were just to go onto Google Images and just type in crystal caves, you would see these incredible crystal networks. So on the very bottom image here is a small version of these enormous crystal caves. Apparently I did have an image. I didn't think I did. But I made this presentation a few days ago. So I didn't quite recall it. But again, looking into these incredible caves and just imagining that you can be inside this cave and you have these amazing, enormous crystals surrounding you. The energy that you would feel in that cave, just sitting down and just meditating with that energy, it would be like bliss heaven. I get blissed out just from small crystals from my place. For where I am, and going into like a metaphysical shop or going into a temple and seeing these crystals all around you, and you just get so blissed out with the energy that's in them. And imagining going inside these enormous caves and seeing these huge crystals all around you. It's bliss out times a million. I would imagine. But anyways, one of the most ancient beings in existence upon our Earth. Now, again, I feel that these would be even more ancient than the insectoid races themselves. The crystals themselves are like keepers of ancient wisdom that hold knowledge of countless worlds within our universe. In fact, the very early computer systems existing through many different forms of extraterrestrial civilizations were all built through crystals. A lot of the self-aware crafts that extraterrestrials would use are all built through crystals. The ability to transit yourself from one dimension to another, the ability for you to actually go into a zero-point energy or a quantum field, and actually being able to move yourself from one dimension to another, one star to another, can be utilized through the harnessing of crystal energy. So there is so much that it gives us, and not only is it utilized in the forms that can be complementary to technology, but again, it's our ancient elders. It's looking at profound ancient wisdom. In fact, the entire history of the Earth can be accessed through these crystals. So if you are able to form a relationship with the crystals, even the crystals that you have right now as well too, everything is really just connected with each other. If you have a beautiful amethyst crystal, if you have a beautiful quartz crystal as well too, rather than feeling that you need to program something inside that crystal, just spend time with it. Spend time with this crystal, form a relationship with it, look into its intelligent infinity that exists within the construct of its design, and just let it tell its story about how it came to be. Let it tell its story about what wisdom it holds, because again, it contains all of the encoded information on a quantum level as it relates to the construction of our own planet, the construction of the human race, the construction of the star system, and it all interconnects with all other crystals that exist within our universe. So again, it holds countless degrees of knowledge about worlds, about galaxies, about the universe itself, all within its own domain. They're all interlinked together. The essence and intelligence of the Earth herself exists within the planet's crystals. So again, this is when you're interfacing with the crystal, you're basically connecting with the essence of Mother Earth herself. So again, like we're looking in this bottom picture here with this explorer inside this cave, and just being able to feel this radiance of energy, this essence of Mother Earth flowing through the crystals of this incredible view and sight that you would have, and being able to just tap into that, and being able to hear the song of Mother Earth, being able to feel that energy where the crystals are all part of the mainframe. It's like looking at a mainframe. It's like looking at this grid, this web that has been created, and crystals are needed in that way. Our entire galaxy is crystalline in that way. It's been referred to as the OEIEO galaxy in that particular way. And again, it's an entire crystalline network that exists beyond all dimensions that we can fathom, beyond space, beyond time. And I've been able to channel this intelligence as well too. And it's very, very challenging to really put everything into words, because its intelligence is so incredibly vast. But that's something that you guys can even check out as well too. Actually, one of my older videos was all about the OEIEO. You just spell it exactly as it sounds, and you'll find a video on that, me talking about this as well. And it was introduced to me by Adronis as well too. It is the mainframe. It is a network of our entire galaxy. Basically, it is kind of like the web-based satellite dish in that way, about how all beings are able to interconnect and interweave together with themselves. It's all of this crystalline technology. It's all of this energy that flows together through the crystals like the veins of the galaxy. And so like an organism that roots out and is able to transit all of this energy and information throughout this network of an organism, very much how the galaxy works herself as well too. So beings can take any form of their choosing and exist in between all dimensions of reality. So there are actually crystal keepers. You could actually see a crystalline being that would manifest as this type of pure light energy that could take like a humanoid-based form, and being able to educate you, as the caves themselves would represent an oversoul that could be manifested as this particular being. So basically, when we're seeing these kind of crystallized spirit beings that come together, that can often be found within caves. There have been numerous reports of many people that have gone inside caves and have actually witnessed these types of crystalline spirit beings just manifesting themselves before them, and being able to give them a lot of guidance about what the cave holds, why they've been attracted to come here, what is ahead for them, talking a lot about the history of the crystals themselves. They're all just representing a collective intent, an oversoul that is the speaker of the collective of the crystals as well. So basically that can happen. And an amazing sight, just to say the least, seeing something like that appear when you're going inside these crystal caves. But they're very, very sacred ground. This again is the entire infrastructure, the mainframe of all the information, of all the insight, of all the blueprints that have made Earth what she is. And we have the ability to access that if we center ourselves, if we neutralize our mind, if we become humbled between those energies and form relationship. All right, now we're going to get into the insectoid beings. Indigenous to Earth, some do appear as mantid, ant, locust, grasshopper. I'm sure there's quite a lot more as well, too. Like many within the Agarthan network, they also have access to interplanetary conveyances. And of course, that's something else as well, is that many of the Agarthans have the capability of interplanetary travel. They have ships, they have like flying saucers, they have different types of spacecraft. Others that can be manifested through thought, or that can actually be physically constructed through holograms. Insectoids are no different. Very intelligent and can access different dimensional portals moving across parallel Earths. So we basically not only have indigenous concurrent insectoid beings existing within the Earth, we have many of them existing interdimensionally, extra-dimensionally as well too. Mantids, again, ants, locusts, grasshopper, so many wasps, bees, pretty much every particular insect you can imagine has some type of sentient equivalent to them as well. Some even considered to be advanced genetic healers, as well as brilliant scientists. I'm actually hearing that the mantis themselves have a great sense of humor as well too. They can crack jokes. So there's a really sophisticated intelligence to them. And they're well within the trillions, the quadrillions, the quintillions, everything. Every other number you can't even think of. But just there's if we look at it, there's about 1 million insects for every one person upon the planet. And so that's giving you the idea about how long insects and insectoids have been here. So basically looking at the first intelligences would really relate to the insectoid life and the insectoid beings as well. So they would basically be what you would know as the progenitors of the planet Earth. They were basically the very first ones here, way before the reptilian, way before the human. They were the ones that were they're running the show. And it is believed that they are also the ones that helped to seed the Earth. But again, what I feel is that even though that's being shared by many people, I always feel that there's always a collective intent about how Earth is seeded, is that there's always going to be different life forms that will assist in aiding the Earth in regards to her own development. So basically there are seeders that will come together at specific times to leave the seeds behind, and being able to make Earth the multicultural, the multifaceted planet that it is. It's all part of contribution. But definitely the insectoids would be, I would say, the first ones that came together that represented a sentient intelligence upon the planet. So it could be seen again as the galaxy's most ancient race, indigenous and extraterrestrial. So again, we have, we could basically see that this entire galaxy is insectoid based. That would be the best form of understanding it. Being able to look at these beings and seeing what they can accomplish, and just being able to imagine other worlds like our Earth, and again some of the very first flora and fauna as it pertains to life forms we relate to that of insects. So again, the insectoids have so much ancient knowledge. They're also probably one of the most advanced races as well too. Advanced starships, advanced spacecraft. Who knows what else until we actually make first contact with them. We can't even begin to imagine, but a lot of people who have made contact with them have said that their technology is something that's just light years upon anything else that we can imagine. Even the locked up technology that we have in our possessions as well, that's under lock and key, wouldn't even compare to the type of technology that the insectoids have. So that's something incredible within itself. Oh, okay, well, I guess I made a mistake here. I was supposed to say Sasquatch beings instead of aquatic beings, so my apologies on that. The Sasquatch beings, the original template race for the construction of the human race. So that is exactly where the human race came to be. they existed through the primordial template that functioned through the Sasquatch. So the Sasquatch were basically taken off planet, and they were genetically scrutinized, and basically being able to constitute in the 22 different genetic programs that represented our human race's construction basically allowed the human race to be developed through the template of the Sasquatch. Now, the difference in that sense from looking at a Sasquatch or an ape in that particular way is that apes don't have necks. Sasquatch do. They have necks. Their form is basically identical to our own. Just hopefully not a lot of humans with as much hair, I hope. But their experimentation was all part of, you could say, the ancient builder race that came here and took the Sasquatch off planet, and being able to utilize their primordial genetic template to fuse together with the other 22 volunteering races that made up the human genome. So this is basically what we would consider to be a relative to us. Not so much, you could look at it in a type of ancestry, but it's more just so the idea, not of a natural evolution, but again, that which represents a genetic program. Although they appear animal-like, their intelligence is on the level of a human being's. Now, these are third density beings. They are not second density. They do appear like they have a second density body that may be primate or ape-like, but their intelligence is very much on par with ours. And they're very, very intelligent. And it's like very similar to our own indigenous tribes, once existed out in the open upon the surface, but now remain more as an inner earth being. So they have retreated into the inner earth, into caverns. Some of them, maybe the rare ones, may actually be able to exist within the forests of the planet as well too. This is why we've had some videos at times taking a look at Sasquatch like running through a forest, running away from cameras and all that. They're basically looking at that type of xenophobic nature on purpose in that way. They're guardians, they're stewards as well too. So there are also Sasquatch that are fourth density beings as well, existing within the inner vaults of the planet. There are many different types of the Sasquatch beings, several varieties of Sasquatch, including those that exist in astral realms, manifesting bodies from thought, another spacefaring civilization. So Sasquatch actually has the capability as well to go on board spacecraft and travel the galaxy. They have those abilities. They are not just a simple primitive primate race that is dumb as hell. They do have intelligence. So being able to look at the Sasquatch and being able to look that this was the primordial template to the human genome, to making the humans of what they were. And thanks to the Sasquatch, we basically have the most versatile of incarnate bodies in existence. That's how powerful the human race is. Basically people get this confused and saying, why are we even being protected? We don't obviously take care of our planet. We don't take care of each other. We don't take care of ourselves. Why are we here? What is the point? Because we basically hold the most sophisticated, versatile, and open source DNA of any other species in the entire existence of creation. That's how powerful we are. And so it's kind of like looking at an open source program, that we can actually open source our DNA, and we can add things to it, we can modify things to it, we can continue to expand and develop our own code. And that's how amazing it is to be a human being. But again, we're still learning this. We're still in that kindergarten phase about understanding our own potential, the capability of our body, the capability of our mind, the capability of our spirit. So once we are able to really grasp that intelligence and working together with these beings in a state of maturity, it's kind of like knowing that, we as human beings have access to so many different toys, so many different forms of capabilities and tools. But the whole idea is that when you really become humble about it, it's knowing that you're utilizing these tools to serve, to represent, to complement your environment, to complement others, and working together in that way. And we're still learning this because, again, there's just still this thirst for power, this thirst of feeling that we need to control things, or that we need to control nature, or that we need to have nature work together for us rather than the other way around. So it's moving past those idiocies and moving more into a state of maturity. I mean, if you look at something like the Sasquatch, they're enormously huge, powerful, but apparently they are quite delicate. They have such a humility to themselves. And again, it's very much like looking at the wise ancient elders of our indigenous tribes, of shamanic mystics. That's very much what the Sasquatch represents. There is a beautiful spiritual energy to them. I actually did an interview not too long ago with an individual named Keegan Reed, and he has a channel called Finding Sasquatch. And I was on that channel, and we were talking about Sasquatch for quite some time, and he had some really incredible experiences about the Sasquatch themselves. I've also heard from a lot of other people that have had experiences with the Sasquatch being as well, and just having these incredible encounters with them. Yes, there can be Sasquatches that, again, do not like humans and probably want to beat us up if we were able to detect them, just because they feel so deeply about what we've been doing to the earth, and that angers a lot of them. And there are those in that sense who are able to work with us, who want to help, to improve, to really help us move into the state of maturity. So again, everything really is a faction, different facets of the multidimensional crystal, of what we are, of who we are, of how we exist here on Earth. Okay, moving on. We have the reptilian beings now. Ancient indigenous race claimed to be the very first sentient race upon the Earth, in regards to some dialogues. Different factions of reptilian beings, warrior, worker, scientist, and royalty castes. Some in association with the Draco Empire, many others are in no way related to them and would most likely battle them if approached. This also goes back to my interview with Randy Kramer as well, too, is through his experiences on Mars with an indigenous reptilian race, which again, a similar indigenous reptilian race exists here in Agartha, in the Earth. Basically, when they were in the middle of a war, they saw these Draco dropships flying right by, and within 2 minutes, these indigenous reptilians blew the hell out of these Draco that came together. So just because they're reptilians doesn't mean that they're all buddy-buddy, right? There's many different factions, there's many different castes, and different groups and clans that represent the reptilian beings. And this is why, again, that I've always spoken out about the idea of cosmic racism, and I've been hearing it since my beginnings as well, too, about saying, oh, these lizzies and these reptilians, and they're awful, it's all these reptilians, get all these reptilians off the planet, etc. And that, again, just represents a state of cosmic racism. Is there really cannot be a succession to a state of maturity if we are always going to penalize the aspect of feeling that we can blame all our problems on a certain race. There are many reptilian beings out there that are loving healers, that are just incredible beings. They're very, very loving. They're very affectionate. They're very intelligent. They also have a lot of emotions to them as well, too. Not as much as us in regards to contrast, but reptilians in that sense are very emotional. And there are those in that sense who would definitely dedicate their lives to helping us out, to move into that energy of helping us to grow and to learn and to evolve. And there's a lot of reptilians that are doing that, especially with a lot of the super federations. There are reptilian officers, there are reptilian healers, there are reptilian medics, there are reptilian shamans, there are reptilian crystal healers. It goes very, very deep. And, it makes me sad when there's always the idea that we have to throw a blame on a particular race, that it's a race's fault, it's a reptilian thing, that they're here and that they've conquered the star system and that they're trying to conquer the galaxy, etc. Granted, there are certain groups like that, but again, that is not representing the entirety of a reptilian race, representing the idea that the entire civilization or anything that represents reptilian must be represented with evil or corruption or manipulation, etc. They are phenomenal, psychic, and telekinetic, able people, also with the ability to mind shift or to shape shift, to actually being able to appear very human in that way, and they're not human at all. But the whole idea in that sense is that we have many different aspects, many different polarities, just like ourselves. Let's be honest, there's a lot of people on our planet that are complete and total assholes, right? And there are many people on the planet that are very loving people and do want to help others and really want to see us transform and mature in that way. We have to look at everything in regards to fractal consciousness, right? And it's not just the idea that something fixated is giving us the idea that these, for example, reptilian beings are all evil and that they're just coming here to dominate, they're here to destroy us, etc. And again, that just goes into the stupidity category. And it's really being able to look at that, yes, there are certain people, certain beings that do have certain agendas. Because again, that is what they know. That is what they realize. Even it's when I'm even seeing an aspect of a Draco or an aspect of another reptilian being or an Orion reptilian or whatever it may be. Even if they are aligned into that particular way, they're not going to be like that forever, right? This is all part of an energy that is being able to learn about its own state of evolution. Right now, that is what they know. They know about the idea of some of these Draco that want to conquer, that do not like free will, that have an attitude problem, right? But there have been many Draco as well, too, that have actually been able to go into the light, that have actually been able to realize that this is no longer their life destiny. This is no longer the alignment that they prefer, and they've been able to shift themselves, right? So they've moved into a higher degree of consciousness, a higher alignment in that way, where they are now working together to serve innocence rather than to harm it. And that's really what it is. It's really just looking into the aspect of innocence. We have those that will abuse innocence and will basically stay within that feedback loop until they learn to make amends with their energy, and as long as they're able to atone themselves and move them into serving innocence. Because again, that's the whole idea of the nature of our universe, is that it's just an itty-bitty, tiny bit biased towards the positive, towards the light. And that's basically all part of it, that if you really harm innocence, that you have to continue to work off that karmic debt lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, depending upon the severity of the harm that you caused. So again, that's all just all part of this learning lesson, and that it's not through the responsibility that an entire civilization is to blame in regards to these aspects. It is through the idea of the fractal consciousness of these beings that can work in certain ways that can therefore have a connection for change, an opportunity for change. So again, reptilian beings existing within our own inner earth as well, too. Again, very highly technological. Some can even camouflage, like the chameleon as well, too. Some can even make themselves very invisible. They're also a very, very incredible race, but they were very much like the very earlier points of sentience on this planet, and they were very much like us in many different ways if we're looking at us in ancient times. Again, very, very agricultural, being able to take care of the planet, function as stewards. They had different diets, of course, but they still had that natural love and respect for the planet. And so many of them, in that sense, have basically gone into a state of, quote-unquote, a type of exile, but not really. Basically, with a lot of these inner Earth civilizations, they were, again, once surface-based as well, too, and they eventually went back into the planet. Again, we have other particular beings that are not in this presentation, but we have other beings like the Jinn that were also very much a part of the Earth at the time. And when humanity was introduced, they were basically giving two options. One, you can coexist with the human beings, or two, you can leave. You would need to go into a different dimensional Earth. And so many of them did not like the idea of these humans being here, and so they decided exile in that way. So again, it even goes back into our ancient times with a lot of the indigenous humans that were here as well too, that they once, again, existed in harmony through a fourth density planet that was surface-based in that way, and that there was a decline, there was a descension in that particular way, as it moved more into this human populace coming together and having all these different forms of polarities. And so they decided through choice to go inside the Earth, because that was part of a vibration that maintained themselves. And so they would go inside the Earth. They would begin to live in that world within a world. And again, through the times of Atlantis, being able to offer contributions. So the original human indigenous races that were here were actually much more of a humility. They had more of a gracefulness for the galactic human to come here and have their experiences, and saying, yeah, well, we'll watch out for them. We're going to give them the space of the entire surface. We'll be underground, and we'll help them along the way. And so that was basically a lot of them. They were very, very graceful about it. It's kind of like looking at how the indigenous folk were with the Spanish settlers, right? Really treated them well with respect, but of course, look what happened. And that's basically what happened as well, too, relating to the indigenous humans, to a lot of the different forms of indigenous races that were here, that decided, all right, fine, we'll let them have the surface, we'll go underground, we'll live a life in that way, and we'll help out in the way we can. And they saw how the humans were being abused, how they were constantly being intervened upon, and how interventional free will was constantly being violated. And seeing exactly what the human beings were becoming, and saying, oh God, okay, they've lost control here. We need to, take back a lot of this technology. We need to give the crystal energy back to ourselves. They're not ready for this. And so there's a lot of agreement. There's a lot of debate within the inner realms as well, too, within the inner Earth, as it pertains to those who want to work together with humans, because that is going to be an eventual circumstance that's going to happen, or for those who say, no, 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 no. When they grow up, when they start to mature, when I actually see that they're actually taking care of each other, when they're not acting like complete idiots, and, growing up and being able to mature themselves and showing that they can take care of the planet, that they can take care of themselves, that they can take care of each other, and actually developing themselves to become a spacefaring race, well, that'll change a lot of opinions. That'll be, okay, humans, we thought you were dicks in the past, but, we're now seeing how you're growing up, and we'd be happy to be a part of your life if you want to, right? So, and that's just the logical feelings. I wouldn't even say logical, but maybe the emotional feelings of a lot of these races. A lot of these races just think that we're immature brats, that we're just basically squandering the resources. It's like letting these little 5-year-old children running around and thinking that they're going to try and take care of a mansion. They're going to trash it. They're going to throw parties. They're going to throw their toys everywhere. They're going to throw paint on the walls. They're going to do all this horrible things. And, we got these 5-year-old kids running amok and throwing stuff and destroying this beautiful mansion that was given to them out of love. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. So basically, that's why some just do not want to assist us right now. There's just the feeling of, what? I don't want to be bothered with this. They have to learn to grow up. And so there's others that will say, well, we're going to help them grow up. So that is basically a lot of the discussions that happen, not only through the inner Earth kingdoms, the inner Earth civilizations, but through extraterrestrial races as well, too. There are those in that sense who say, what, just forgive them. They know not what they do. They're learning, they're developing themselves. And then there's others that say, are you kidding? They're complete idiots. I don't want anything to do with them. I'm not going to, waste my time with these guys right now. So there's definitely those different polarities that relate to how many different races see us. Don't be a dick. Yeah, exactly. But anyways, that's the polarity of how many races see us. Many who want to assist us within the inner Earth kingdoms, within the extraterrestrial realms, etc., and many who don't. So it's definitely a mixed bag. That's not to say that many of them agree that humanity really is incredible. There's so much potential that we have, and it's just all about realizing if we have the capability of harnessing that and really being able to take into consideration the energies of why we came to this planet in the first place, was to get along, was to work together with each other and move past this programming and get back on track. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and bring Adronis in, and he's going to be talking about Inner Earth and Agartha. So Adronis channeling, where he will share his perspective on this. So I'll pop back onto camera here. Whew, all right. So thank you guys. Hope you guys were enjoying that presentation. So now the last part of our presentation, Adronis will be coming in through channeling. Once he's done, then I'll be taking questions from the live chat room. So if you guys do have questions, just make sure they're on standby. You can prepare for them and maybe copy paste them once we get into that point. So I will go ahead now, bring Adronis through, and we'll get started. All right, here we go. Soul Star. Sirius. Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We ask all of you at this time to let yourselves unwind, get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all that we shall provide as it relates to insight today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. Agartha and the inner earth. Now, as this conduit has somewhat elaborated upon, that this is the beginning times in regards to how a planet is formed, that there will actually be volunteers that will come forward to actually inhabiting their own, shall we say, ingestion of seeds upon a planetary matrix. When a planetary matrix firstly creates a self-awareness to themselves, which truly is what your Mother Earth has done throughout the times of her incarnation here, she will actually send out calls to other particular civilizations, to other ancient builder races, and will actually invite them in to being able to produce the seeds genetically, their own biology, that would serve the degree necessary to making this planet what she or even he is, depending upon its mainframe. So basically, this is exactly what your planet had done. That there were certain beings that came forward that allowed the harvesting of flora and fauna upon your planet to take place, to allow this energy to culminate. Now again, it all works together in the state of grids. It all works together in the state of thought. It all translates itself together in the degrees of biology. It was all basically what you would know as the infrastructures that represented the bombardment of meteorite fragments that actually contained specific forms of acids and proteins that bonded together with the elixir of the earth upon those times in regards to her early development of the body. And so basically you would see it very similar to how an embryo itself begins to start to ferment, begin to advance, and begin to nurture and build itself in regards to a synthesized construct. And that all of these particular forms of embeddings of energies that come together would represent the formation of the appropriate cosmic body, celestial body, or in this particular case, planetary body, that allowed the construct, the genome of Earth herself to become what she is. So the spirit of Earth is always communicating through that state of sound resonance, through that state of thought construct, through that state of soul calling, that will therefore summon other particular beings that will come upon and say, oh my goodness, yes, this is the type of experiment that we would love to participate with. You have a deal. And so therefore we construct these, again, appropriate acidic compounds, proteins that would be constructed inside meteorites and would therefore bombard the surface of the planet. This is not in that sense causing pain to the planet. This is again all part of the birthing process that is making the genesis of the planet what she is meant to be. So therefore that is the construct as it pertains to the flora and the fauna, the idea of the elements that firstly came about, the flora and the fauna, the idea of the plant kingdoms, the vegetation kingdoms, moving then into the animal collective as well too, from your insects, from your aquatics, from your mammals, from your avians, etc. All of these were particular volunteers that came to your planet and decided, yes, we will participate here with the Earth experiment, because there is much that we can learn as we cultivate, as we grow, as we therefore benefit from the creation that Mother Earth herself will go through. Everything is equivalent exchange. So therefore, as the Earth herself becomes propagated with these appropriate forms of acidic compounds, these proteins that therefore constructed the aspect of her own grid and allowed life to come together, This is therefore what was also mutually exchangeable in regards to information and insight about how other beings that came together in cooperation, shared much of their intelligences together, formed new alliances, formed new friendships, formed reconnection to family, and being able to look at it like an artist would in regards to how they just finished painting a masterpiece upon a canvas. And that is the whole idea. It is not the idea of what you would know as an ancient builder race. It is the idea of ancient builder races that truly represent the idea of the construct of the earth. So it is not one civilization that is responsible. It is the idea that, yes, you realize you have what you would know as 22 different volunteers that represent genetic programs, that represent your own genome. But also understand that there are many other ancient builder races that came together and formed a conglomerate. And you could simply refer to this as the Earth Ancient Builder Race Conglomerate. And that this is allowing all of the particular forms of life, the abundance of life in many different varieties, to come together in the way that it was. So therefore, through phases that allowed the creation of your planet to be what she is, therefore moved into different forms of alignments of levels and consciousness that therefore started to become produced in the appropriate stages that were being met. And so, basically, you would have different forms of sentient races that would be invited into the planet, being able to look upon the surface, being able to go into the surface, being able to look into the idea of their masterpiece to which they co-created together with the spirit of the earth herself. And that all of these original builders, the ancient builder races, again, fell in love with the planet and basically did exactly what they would do, what any particular form of masterful artist would do, taking care of their work. So they would therefore function together as stewards. They would also be able to function together in the states of equations about how all of these different forms of lives complemented each other. That the idea that there were predatory species, there were herbivore species, many different forms of, again, species that complemented all of these different ancient builder races that basically balanced themselves together so well. All of them heard the call because Mother Earth herself knew exactly what she wanted to have upon her planet. This also represented the idea of the construct that exists inside the planet, to where the poles represent chamber aspects, or what you would know as, shall we say, chamber apertures. These chamber apertures are what you would know as expulsion points that seed new life. Basically what that means is that all of the genetic information that has been handed through many of the ancient builder races, and therefore being brought and shared together as a blueprint, Mother Earth could now reproduce and actually build and construct these aspects of new life forms that could come upon the planet based upon this exchange of her functioning as a database. So therefore, many different forms of extraterrestrial civilizations left behind much of their imprints of their own genetic code. This is why you would have, for example, sentient insectoid beings that are, shall we say, somewhat human in appearance, actually being able to reform much in regards to their earlier protozoid aspects of life, from the idea of the tiniest little insects, and being able to share that imprint of life with Mother Earth, so that she would actually be able to spawn different degrees of life in regards to the construct of her own spiritual database. So basically, when you are looking at the northern and the southern poles, these are the spawning apertures in regards to how life itself is therefore being seeded through your oceans and through your lands, all based upon the idea of, shall we say, the waters that deliver the aspects in regards to the degrees of new life that is meant to be propagated through, again, appropriate acidic compounds, protein compounds, that therefore make the new establishment of life what it is. And it happens very secretly. It is not something where she is posting on her proverbial spiritual Facebook and saying, "Hey, dearest humans, I've now created a new version of whale." No. You need to discover that for yourselves. You need to realize exactly that all of these new species that are popping up in that sense is all part of the earth herself transforming changing. In that even though it may seem like there is a purposeful intent in regards to the extinction of certain forms of animals, this is all part of the plan as it relates to the phases of where Mother Earth is going in that particular way. So moving back into the aspect of Agartha and the inner earth, that again, stewards are being the maintenance workers. They are taking care of things as custodians underground. They are working together agriculturally. They are working together with the crystal matrices that are part of the blueprint, the device that represents the energy of all life to come together in institution. So basically, the purpose of the Agarthan network in that sense is to be the inner stewardships, being the inner custodians that are assisting and working together with the earth in regards to the harvestability of different forms of life that are therefore being remodified, recollected, and spawned as new different types of life forms. That there are also responsibilities in being able to, yes, take care of their own people, being able to feed their own people, being able to advance themselves, as Brad put it, a world within a world. That they are too living just as you are living as well. But again, their tasks are very much different. They are not performing the aspects of entertainment. In fact, you would discover that much in regards to the aspect of entertainment to these beings is a foreign concept. It's not really quite understood. Everything that mainly that they do is all part of educational platforms, is something that represents an evolution of their own race. They really do not understand this hunger that human beings have for the aspects of entertainment, or the idea in that sense of distracting themselves so much to preventing themselves from taking care of each other, taking care of themselves, taking care of the planet and its life. They do not understand exactly why there is such a trance state going on, preventing for many of you human beings to do what you came here to do. Because you are also stewards, you are also custodians, you are also maintenance workers. You will also eventually be introduced in regards to the actual concept about how new life is actually appearing upon the planet. Now, many of you have stated, we feel right now the Earth is dying. No, she isn't. There basically is the idea that, yes, there are, shall we say, certain forms of challenges taking place, but here's that particular way of saying that Earth has never really lost control of herself, ever. The whole idea in that sense, if it was a quote-unquote doomsday situation, many of you wouldn't even be here right now. The whole idea in that sense is that the Earth herself is willing to go to such an extreme to demonstrate exactly what her children are doing upon the surface without seriously permanently injuring her. So she has been able to open herself up, and through that state of unconditional love that she has through you, she is demonstrating exactly what many of you need to see in your states of reflection in order for you to develop a state of change. So therefore, she will open up in that particular way. Now, many of you may say, well, Adronis, we have been doing a great deal of havoc to the planet. We have been polluting the waters. We have been polluting the air. We have had so much of this toxic pollutants, this aspects of feeling that we're still at war with each other, that we're cutting down rainforests, that we're cutting down trees. Yes, those can be very, very disastrous situations. And you are correct. That is something that can indeed hurt the earth, but not hurting her to the point where it is, shall we say, extinction-level planetary chaos. You are far from that. Believe us when we say, if that was the situation, you would all be taken off the planet right now. That is not what's happening. Basically, you are all reaching a state of precipice, and that the Earth has allowed herself to demonstrate this state of harm that many of the human beings have been imposing upon their planet and themselves, to therefore reflect and say that, well, now that you know that this does not benefit your home, this does not benefit your world, this does not benefit yourselves, are you going to continue to do it, or are you willing to change? Now, as we know that there are cycles that move forward, and that there is, in that sense, we feel, a very large momentum where you will be able to change this. However, this is not 100% guaranteed. It is very much high in momentum, but there is always the slight, light possibility that if many of you did not get your act together, yes, you would basically all be perished from this planet, or basically relocating to another particular world that would be somewhat suitable. Many of you in that sense would not even realize that you're on board another planet in that way, or inhabiting another world in that way. But we feel that that is an extreme unlikeliness, well within, shall we say, the odds that lead up into the billions. But right now, you are all working together, aligning yourselves together, harmonizing together, and realizing that when you come together, it's because of tragedy. It's because of trauma. It's because of collective conflict that you start to huddle yourselves together and saying, we need to change this. We need to look at the people that still feel they need to enforce this aspect of harm upon us, upon our planet, upon our environment, and we need to take charge with this situation, which is exactly what's happening right now. You're starting to move into that particular direction. Now, many of the beings inside the Earth, again, has had a hands-off policy, no more different than the extraterrestrials that exist throughout your skies and beyond. They too have a hands-off policy, but they too in that sense have realized that they have quote-unquote dropped the ball at certain points, because there were times where many of them were meant to intervene upon your culture and help to set things back in motion as they were meant to. They did not do that because of much of the bias that many of them had in regards to the human races, that they did not know how to take responsibility for themselves. We were too busy with our own thing in that way, functioning as inner stewards, and we did not want to be bothered with it. We already tried to help them during the times of Atlantis, during the times of Lemuria, during the times of ancient Sumeria, during the times of ancient Egypt, and they were not able to reciprocate this assistance, this help. Why should we bother again? And so basically they got caught up in their own internal stewardship when their entire purpose was to also assist their siblings that represent the human race upon the surface, to assist them in their state of growth. And so the whole idea in that sense is that systems, opportunities, responsibility, mandatory nature as it relates to the cooperation of this world is now starting to re-spark and reconnect itself once again. And so the Agarthans themselves, from all the many different races that do exist, because many different sentient races exist within your own inner mantles, your own inner vaults, your clustered earth, also exist within your oceans, underwater, and even beyond. And that they are all now working together behind the scenes to start to make an agreement that when there is, shall we say, much more disclosure that is meant to happen, more of them en masse will start to make an appearance. Now, as we have already stated in the past, that there are certain forms of Agarthan representatives that will be contacting some of you, and that this will represent your ability to connect with them and being able to share much of the teachings that they have to share with you that you can now share with others. So some of you in that sense may actually be taken physically into the earth and actually be able to look into these vaults, into these beautiful agricultural areas to which the Agarthans, in regards to many of the races, have cultivated, and being able to tell you a lot about earth history, and that you will therefore function as this quote-unquote whistleblower of information to eventually be shared. Some of you will be able to channel the Agarthans in that particular way and also share this information as well too. It is all just based upon the preferences and the contracts that are therefore agreed to through the individuals. And the whole idea in that sense is that the Agarthans are choosing the people. The people are not choosing the Agarthans. And so the whole idea is that they will therefore make themselves known to the appropriate people at the timing that is appropriate in order for this idea of visitation, channeling, communication in this particular way to come about appropriately, to allow this incredible shift to continue to prosper and develop. So, the Agartha network are your older siblings. They are your older brothers and sisters. They are meant to work together with you. There are agreements right now for many different forms of groups, factions, existing within the inner Agartha network that will again begin to work with many of you. That's all part of the process of how you are moving fully into a fourth density integrated civilization. And that as you fully immerse yourself in the fourth density, as you're still going to the fourth density transitory state now, you will be able to again see much more of the escalation of this energy. not only from the Agarthan aspect, but from the extraterrestrial aspect, because they do have similar agendas in the idea of the introduction to themselves with the planet Earth. But they must still remain in somewhat of a hands-off policy until there is a breach point. And that particular breach point will therefore allow the opportunity for such beings such as the Agarthans, for other extraterrestrial beings, extra-dimensional beings, to become much more aware of helping you and being able to, shall we say, have noticeability with it in that function, in that way. So feel free to connect with the Agarthan network, as you can do so through the trees, through the grass, through the skies, through all of the flora and fauna of life that exist. For the whole idea in that sense is that the agreements that are forged may not even be consciously aware at this particular point with you. But the whole idea is the more that you associate with nature, the more that you work together with the elements, the more that you work together with the plants, the vegetation, the animals themselves, everything that again represents the flora and fauna, this is your connection directly to the Agarthan network. This is your idea about how you can now start to develop a relationship, a mentorship with these beings that can communicate with you, because just like the soul in that sense has agreements with the earth, the lower fractalized versions are not consciously aware of this until opportunity strikes. So let opportunity strike for all of you who have been chosen to function together as liaison capacitors as it pertains to the inner Agarthan network, your siblings reaching back to you. We thank you once again for the opportunity of this interaction. We will now return to the conduit as we will begin your question and answer period. One moment, please. Oh, okay. Wow. Fantastic. Okay, guys. So I'm just going to take a moment here just to kind of regain my awareness. So if you guys do have any questions for myself or for Adronis, just feel free to paste it or copy paste it or type it into the chat room, and I'll be going ahead and take a look at all the questions that we have for tonight. So we have maybe about 20 minutes left, so we're probably just going to take about the 20 minutes worth of questions. So if I don't get around to your questions, I apologize. But of course, we will always have future Reality Whisperer webcasts. And of course, there's a lot available on my website as it pertains to sessions. Okay, so let me just scroll up the list here and just see exactly if I can find where the first question is. Okay, I think it's right about here. Okay, so here's one from Tom Madness. Tom asks, Adronis, what is the relationship between the planets and the musical modes? In ancient times, Mixolydian mode was associated with the sun and the rest of the modes with planets. Okay, so a very good connection here. What is the relationship between the planets and the musical modes? Okay, one moment. We thank you very much for your question. As it relates to the idea of the musical modes pertaining to your planets, they all represent different symphonies based upon, shall we say, the inhabitants of their own life and their own, shall we say, natural resonance. So the idea in regards to your planet Earth herself represents in what you would refer to as a Schumann resonance. The idea of the sun in that sense operating in what you would know as a 432 hertz coherent frequency that therefore represents the spawning of life. Now certain planets in that sense, yes, will have certain degrees in regards to tones. Some will in that sense function very, very similar to what you would know as theta or delta states that can again be much, much lesser in that particular way. They also institute themselves in regards to the appropriate modes as it pertains to frequency based upon the energies of, shall we say, advancement on the planet in regards to the functioning of the life that exists. So through the idea in regards to the Schumann resonance, to the idea of your own brainwave capacity, to everything in regards to the natural harmonics that exist upon your planet, are all part and parcel to appropriate symphonies of appropriate orchestras that therefore allow an equilibrium of life to therefore complement itself in that way. Now, there are many different musical modes in that sense. Many of you, again, will relate this to the Fibonacci sequence, in the idea in regards to the phi ratio, pertaining to the mathematical qualities that all life is stemmed from. That itself is even a musical program. That itself is also a creational building construct program in regards to complementing the infinite through the finite. So basically, there are many different forms of complex, shall we say, answers here as it relates to music. Now, we understand that this conduit is not fully versed in the idea of specificity as it pertains to musical modes. But again, when you look at certain planets, because you are only familiar much with the planets that exist within your own star system, these particular planets, again, will emit certain forms of frequencies and even radio waves at particular times and at particular points in order for them to govern what you would know as a chain effect or a grid or a array that represents the harmonization of gravitational flow in that way. So basically what we are saying is that you could look at the sun itself as a vast magnet of energy, and therefore broadcasting the idea of what you would know as the 432 hertz frequencies, and that other planets in that sense will not only function as reflectors, but will also resonate specific tones in the mode capacities that will actually interlock together with the appropriate geometry that makes up your grid throughout your star system. And through this grid that is representing the star system will also represent the aspects of cyclic changes that actually function through causality existing within your space and time nexus. So it does get quite complex in that way. But everything that represents the harmonic of frequencies, representing that of life, representing that of the Schumann resonance, is all part and parcel in regards to the intricacies about how you function in regards to certain forms of advancement states as it pertains to relationship with the idea of life, flora, and fauna, as it relates to the relationship of different forms of planetary bodies that are, again, one gigantic symphony orchestrated together in living in harmony and complementing itself together through the idea of the very, very lower pitches to the very, very higher pitches together, working together within the natural orchestra, as this in itself, yes, is our own natural music about how we are able in that sense to understand much more of creation. Creation itself can tell you a lot through the means of sound. We thank you. All right. So thank you so much for your question. I hope that answered some of it. Okay, we have one here from Sarkis A. They write, "Hi Brad, I always feel like having a connection with Lemuria. I will appreciate any insights you can give me on such relationships with Agartha and Lemuria. Thanks." Well, that gets pretty detailed in that way. When you basically feel a connection, a relationship with Agartha, basically you're feeling that you have been there before, that you have had some type of associations with that energy. So you may have had associations with the human race that exists within Agartha. You may have also had a lot of particular connections as an animal or even as an element that may relate to the idea of those Agarthan times. And Lemuria as well, too. I have also had large feelings about connections with Lemuria as well, too. We have some type of relationship there. When some people go to Australia or Madagascar, areas of British Columbia, areas of California, these again represent remnants of the Lemurian energy. Going to Hawaii, for example, can represent remnants and energetic connections to that of Lemuria. So we have something in regards to a echo. And that's basically what's happening. So when we connect with something, when we connect with an Agarthan energy, a Lemurian energy, it's all a reminder. It's basically telling us that there is an opening here and that we can actually bring in memory as it relates to that experience when we center, when we come together. We're basically finding a vortex point. We're basically being able to discover an assemblage area where we can go into, we can neutralize our minds, and we basically ask permission. This is something I want everybody to go ahead and try as well too. If you feel any particular type of recognizable energy, as it may represent a past civilization that existed on Earth, elemental consciousness, animal consciousness, extraterrestrial consciousness, find an assemblage area. And basically what that is just a particular vortex that creates a relationship hub. And through that relationship hub, you're just centering, you're closing your eyes, and you're now giving yourself permission. I am an instrument of this particular civilization that I feel harmoniously. My heart calls for the memories to return back as it relates to the civilization that I feel. I open myself up into the awareness of the capability of returning these memories back into me. Let it be so, for I am an instrument of surrender. Okay? Try that and see exactly how that works, because again, it can be very, very extensive. If I'm going into someone's Akashic records and finding out a lot about that information, that's a lot of work. That is something that I do. But just being able to really realize that this is something that you can actually store within yourself. Again, everything pertaining to what we have touched, what we have observed, what we have witnessed, what we have experienced, all create ripples. Everything is binded together with itself. We're all interconnected to every particular spot, not only on a location level on the planet, but everything that location has represented, just like everything relating to this body. Like with me right now, with all of these generations, it took so many different generations of different human beings for me to make myself into this type of body, through the idea of shared genetic instructions that moved through the generations and started to assemble a body in this particular way. Therefore, that is quantum recognition. Those are ripple effects that we are able to connect with. So the whole idea is being able to go into an assemblage area, to tap into that particular vortex, neutralize the mind, and give that particular type of intention that was aforementioned. Surrendering yourself as a vessel, being able to invite in the memory as it returns. Because what is the most important thing here is not so much as a channel, a medium, a liaison, to tell you exactly what you're going through. That can help as an introductory phase to helping you move more deeper into this construct of how you see yourself as a multiplicity, multifaceted, multidimensional aspect being that you are. But you're actually now giving yourself permission through, again, inviting in those particular type of people to tell you a lot about those energies, and I can confirm those energies are a part of you. But now you're being able to take it to the next level, because no one can give you those memories, right? You have to give yourself permission for those memories to incorporate itself within you. This can be done through meditation. This can be done through dream state. This is where you are harnessing all those particular familiarities with Agartha, with Lemuria, with extraterrestrial civilizations, but you're creating an assemblage area. You want that assemblage area to be your space of relationship. You want to create relationship. What does Agartha mean to you? What does Lemuria mean to you? What does it mean when I even say Lemuria to you? What does it mean when I say Agartha to you, right? And being able to develop that type of relationship with that energy, and now being able to create assemblage. Now being able to say, this reminds me of Agartha. I have a Lemurian seed crystal right here. This reminds me of Agartha, this painting I created. Great. Make that part of your assemblage area. Now start to neutralize your mind. Let go of the feelings of contamination with thoughts that have nothing to do with the relevance or relationship of what you're going through. Make yourself empty. And go into that neutral mind and just say out loud that particular type of aforementioned aspect of affirmation. And just let yourself be. Do not feel that you're looking at the clock and saying, oh, it's been 5 minutes. I'm not sensing any memories coming in. It's not always about that. It's just being in that space and allowing this aspect of you volunteering yourself to be a surrendering vessel and letting this energy come through by you remaining as empty as you possibly can. And again, when the time is right, those seeds that have been implanted through your consciousness will sprout. And you'll now start to get memories back about Agartha. You'll now start to get memories back about Lemuria. Because again, it's like you're looking at yourself as the soil. This soil is constantly going to wrestle with itself and fight and throw itself all away. Well, you're not going to be able to plant many seeds. They're just all going to be shooting out of it. So keep yourself still. See yourself as the soil. Let your own consciousness, as you align to these aspects and ripples of yourself, plant the seeds in the soil. Let them be buried. And just sit with that energy. Sit with that for a time and say, oh, I feel really, really good. Now I'm going to go on with the rest of my day. And now days may pass. Now the seeds are starting to sprout. Now you're feeling that there are memories coming back together with you. So that's what I would like you to investigate a little bit more and see exactly where that takes you. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay. So we have one here from Passion Kid. Excuse me. I get that feeling like every time you want to talk, you want to burp at the same time. So gotta hold it in. Okay. I love that feeling, right? Passion Kid asks, what is the message behind white butterflies? I keep seeing them everywhere. When I ride my bike, they fly around me and straight into me. Cheers. Well, basically, when you're looking at the white butterfly energy, you're looking at spirit callers. When you're basically looking at anything that represents a white essence, a white energy, a white color, you're looking in regards to spirit messengers. So basically, butterflies themselves represent the aspect that you are transforming, that you are moving yourself into new horizons, that you are becoming the sunrise, the sunset, the alpha, and the omega, as it relates to your own transformational properties. So butterflies themselves represent prosperity, they represent transformation, they represent transition, they move you into new horizons of consciousness. So the spirit butterflies in that sense are showing you that your spirit is moving into different transitional fluxes, and that new cycles are starting to come together that is helping to alter your own consciousness, you're altering your own particular personality construct to service more so in the aspect as it pertains to spirit, as it relates to your own transformational growth, advancement in that particular way. So if you're seeing a lot of them around you, then that's showing that there's some very transformational times happening with you. That may also show that there's a lot of spirit guides that are working with your energy right now, and the butterflies are being this messenger, these buffers that are actually helping to ground a lot of this energy of transformation that is existing around you. So it's a very, very good sign. Just as those butterflies start to appear, thank them. Send them love, send them greetings, and thank them for a lot of the work that they're helping you with, because they are helping you to ground, especially when you start seeing them move around in like a vortex, like in a kind of spiral kind of patterns. Then that's showing you that there's a lot of transformation going on, a lot of spiritual work being done on you, so that transformation can begin on a much more advanced level. Okay? Thank you very much, Passion Kid, for your question. Okay. Got a lot of questions here, guys. Let me see. Okay, here's one from Game Tangia, and they ask, Adronis, is there a way to sign up to be taken into the network and share their teachings? Okay, good question. Let me bring Adronis in for that. We thank you very much, Game Tangia, for your question. As it relates to your question, can you sign up to the Agarthan network and basically, in that sense, learn much from their teachings? Yes, in a way, but it is more so in the idea that through the idea of direct liaison contact, that is something that is being established on a much more, shall we say, deeper, intimate relationship level. But as we stated, the Agarthan network exists throughout nature. It exists through your trees, it exists through your crystals, it exists through your grass, it exists through your water, it exists through your animals, it exists through everything that represents the flora and fauna of life. Now, as we stated, again, this is not a complex aspect that you are actually able to do. Spend time with nature. Nature is an antenna. You are an antenna. You are broadcasting networks. You are interrelating your connections together with each other. What it basically represents is for you to become more humble. This is again what happens, is many of you become so excited about this. Oh yes, this is so excited, this is so excited. Maybe I'll let somebody else do it. Or maybe I'll do it in a way where I feel I have to do it in this certain approach. I have to do it in this particular procedure. I know it doesn't work one time, then I'm going to go ahead and leave it. The whole idea is that you may feel distracted in being able to move into this alignment where you are simply learning to become humble. Make nature your family. Make nature your relationship, because when you do, now they are functioning as proxies. Now they are working together with you, and the key to making that relationship happen is through one simple word: F-E-E-L-I-N-G. Feeling is the key. You are not doing this logically. It doesn't work. So the whole key here is being able to feel what it is to have a relationship with a tree. To feel what it is to have a relationship with the blades of grass. To feel what it is to have a relationship with a crystal, with an animal. And being able to give forward the intention about what it is that you want to know. Agarthan energy is part of the interconnected web. As you know, humans, you're all interconnected. You're all one. This is not the idea of saying, well, there's a separate Agarthan division here that's not really interconnected with all there is. Of course there is. But in order for you to move into that particular alignment represents a state of humility, a realization that you surrender yourself to the intention of allowing yourself to feel, to create relationship, to build on this approach of loving energies, where these antennae, these walking broadcasting towers that represent you, can now start to commingle, can develop relationship with each other. That is how you do it. You do not have to take a shovel and basically 5 miles vertically later, hey, I'm in Agartha. No, it does not have to work that way. Everything in regards to your planet is interconnected within itself. If you truly want to understand much more of the Agarthan teachings, there are countless beings that would be happy to form a relationship connection together with you. When we are basically saying that there will be certain Agarthan liaisons that will be coming forward for specific channels, we are referring to those specific liaisons themselves that have allowed themselves to form orientations of relationship with appropriate humans based upon the energies of their construct. Again, as we stated, that as spirit represents the state of agreement, the lower fractalized version does not realize this. And it is through your own enacting of working together with nature, it is through your own intentions about being able to solidify a relationship with nature itself that will therefore give you the understanding that you are indeed one of these particular people. Not just working through Agarthan liaisons that are appointed to share in this, shall we say, whistleblowing information, but also being able to work together with many other different aspects and elements of Agartha, of the inner earth herself, and that can be achieved through the interface of nature, through the interface of your own consciousness, through the interface, as this conduit has stated, creating an assemblage area, being able to connect with that vortex of neutrality through the assemblage area that you create that are generated out of what? Anyone? Relationship. This is the key to how you channel, period. This is the key to how you are able to communicate, period. There is no other way. It's relationship. And so the more that you form relationship in that state of natural humility that you move yourself into, you are now opening the bridge. You are opening a gigantic aspect nexus of information that is becoming available to you by just letting yourself form a relationship, by just quieting the mind, letting the thoughts drift, not connecting to them, not feeling that this is beyond you, not feeling that this is ridiculous, and why am I spending time with this? Is this really going to work? Am I really going to pull this off? Is this actually going to happen? Is this really going to take place? Can I really do this? Maybe I should wait till tomorrow. Maybe I should wait till next year. Maybe I should wait till a little bit older. Maybe the next lifetime, etc. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And remain neutral and center yourselves. And just in that beautiful state of centering, the entire universe is open to you now by how? Intention. State your intention in neutral minds and just be aware of what comes through. Be aware of what energies are being felt through you. Is it a thought that is complementary to this relationship? Is it an image? Is it a sound? Is it a voice? Is it a feeling? Is it a sensation in the body? Is it a color? Is it a taste? Whatever it may be, focus on that energy and open it up like you're unfolding a box. And more information comes to you. Take that information and unfold it like a box, and more information comes together. You do not have to be within these, shall we say, advanced trance states that you feel is truly beyond you. It is not required. It is good if you want to move into that aspect because you are silencing the conscious mind and you are moving into those unconscious states, yes, but it is not necessary. You all have the capability of doing this, but you are your own gatekeepers. Nobody else is giving this to you. You can't be given this. This is you unlocking the doors of your mind and saying, I give myself permission to enter. I give myself permission to open. You are not able to unlock a door if you're still holding a belief system about that because you're the gatekeeper. Something needs to be done in physical life that allows that barrier itself to be dissolved. Now the lock opens. Now a new door opens. Now you can go through. This is how it works. We want to emphasize as humans because this is how powerful you are. You have so much power within yourself, so much grace, so much love within yourselves, that you give yourself that equivalent aspect of power to feel that you're incapable of having this power. Now that is the contradiction. You give yourself power to feel that you are not worthy of this power. That's what you're doing. This is not something that needs to be given to you outside of yourself. There is no outside. There's only you. What you are experiencing through these eyes are reflectors, are prisms that are showing you what's happening inside you. So we want you to contemplate that everything you hear, you smell, you taste, you touch, all prisms of reflection from what's happening inside here. There is no outside. There is no other person. There is no other self. There's only you. You, you, you. The person that you see across from you at your table right now is somebody that's in here being projected outside through a prism, through a reflection, through a hologram. That's who they are. They exist in here, not out there. So what is that telling you? My God, everything within reality is a reflection of me inside. Yes. And that I can associate with those energies by what? Forming a relationship with them. That's it. That's how it's done, dearest humans. This is Connection 101. This is you being empowered 101. So we want all of you to really seriously, no pun intended, take this into consideration. This is how powerful you are. You give yourselves your own power to deny rather than to accept. Switch it around, and you will see a world with Agartha, with your own planet, with other worlds, with other dimensions, with other consciousness that can propel you exponentially when you give yourself permission to open your own gates. We thank you. That's profound, and that's a reminder for me too, so I definitely feel that. All right, guys, we're going to take one last question before we wrap up tonight, so I'm going to kind of go right to the bottom here and just see what else is being said. Okay, let's go up here. There's quite a few good questions, so I'm just trying to find one that's good. Okay, I'm going to stay away from the political questions. Just really doesn't have too much of a theme with us right now. Okay, here's one from Omar Corona. Does or has Adronis ever smoked anything like cannabis? Or is there really such elements to ingest in their reality? And is time flow altered compared to this realm of existence to where he is? Okay, and how? Thank you, Omar. So let's see what Adronis says about that. And this will be the last question for tonight's broadcast. Here we go. Oh. We thank you, Omar, for your question. Do we have cannabis where we exist? Not unless it wants to get burnt up. We exist in what you would know as the star of Sirius. The star that you term as Sirius A. The star that we refer to in our own language as Benedicts. Now, basically, we exist as a starlight consciousness, which means that we are able to form together what you would know as astral projections, projections of our own being, often in regards to how we have once existed as physicalized beings that you would know as tall Nordics, what you would know as blonde hair, blue eyes, etc. So therefore, where we exist right now, no, we do not have the idea of what you state pertaining to the idea of cannabis. But in that sense, the idea of cannabis in that sense has had many different orientations on different worlds. Sometimes it has sprouted as different organisms. But basically the idea of the seed of its property is still that. So basically, for example, you realize that you have, for example, insectoid sentient beings. You realize that the insectoid sentient beings are not directly in front of you upon your surface. They have basically collated together their own energies to create, shall we say, symbiotic, animalistic properties as it pertains to their own insectoid form in regards to the idea of the appropriate habitat that is in alignment with your own sphere, representing that of an ecological nature. So therefore, what you refer to as cannabis or marijuana in that sense has different forms of properties in regards to its form and orientation upon different planets. Now basically, Earth itself has the unique degree of cannabis in the form that is not available anywhere else. That is not to say again that cannabis does not exist on other worlds. It does, but it definitely represents different properties. There are even aspects of cannabis that in that sense is not hallucinatory in any particular area of a planet. So the whole idea is that some planets do have it in that sense as a type of hallucinogen, and there are those that do not. They simply see it more in regards to its vitamin nutrient-rich properties. So in that sense, we do not, shall we say, even if we could, smoke the aspect of cannabis. We do not need to. Because everything that generates the effect of connection, the effect in regards to your humility, the connection of that center, we naturally feel. So everything that you would consider to be your highest degree of joy that you can possibly imagine is the lowest degree for ourselves. And you have also heard this from the entity that you know as Bashar. And again, this is also true in many of our different cases, that when you move up into a higher density in that sense, even Bashar's aspect of highest joy would be our lowest. We exist in a 6th density sphere. And through a 6th density sphere, our particular energies of joy is so profound that if we attempted to beam that joy into you, your body would actually explode. That is basically the aspect of joy. So basically you could say it in an amusing way, death by joy. Just kidding. But that is basically the resonance of our energy. So basically when you're looking in regards to this connection, it is a very, 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 very minuscule fraction of that particular aspect that represents our consciousness that is moving in streamline together with this conduit. So the whole idea in that sense is that we experience more joy, more ecstasy, everything pertaining to pure bliss than can possibly be expressed in your language. So the whole idea in that sense is that we do not require that energy in regards to, or that chemical in that way, in regards to being able to enjoy ourselves, because that wouldn't even be efficient to the type of joy that we can feel where we exist altogether. We thank you very much. All right. And, oh yeah, that's right, Amar, you did have a last part here. And is time flow altered compared to this realm of existence where he is now? So let me just fill that in for him. Yeah, he exists where space and time work more for him rather than he feels that it works, they work for it, right? So space and time in that sense are malleable. They are basically tools that he is able to use. So basically, as he has described it in past sessions, if we were to look at our day, he would be able to go right into the evening, then jump right into the morning, then jump right into the afternoon, all based upon his own choosing. It's the idea that consciousness, that thought itself, is like the marker that's moving through a particular timeline. That could be a legend of 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, a million years. And he can jump in between as those markers, where thought itself is therefore constituting the aspect of the marker itself. So where he exists, there is non-linearity. And that exists because the density to where he observes in that way is beyond the fabric, beyond the bubble of space and time. So basically, if you were to hold like a sphere in your hand, many of us are now inside that sphere, and we're operating within the laws and rules that pertain to that sphere. Where he is, his hands are outside that sphere, and he is able to project his own consciousness into the time-space, space-time nexi as it pertains to that sphere, and move around it and motion it in that particular way, because the density that he resides in allows him to do that. So it is the idea in that sense that they have pierced the veil as it represents to a space-time matter density, and that they have moved more beyond that aspect and seeing more of those aspects as malleable tools in being able to understand different perspectives for life that exists within those boundaries of the sphere. So that would be the best way I could put it for him. Okay, guys, we are out of time for this evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed this presentation this evening on the Reality Whisperer webcast. I will be back again this coming Saturday with special guest Barbara Goldsmith, and I'm looking forward to a really wonderful interview with her. And again, it's all about the universe of astrology. So again, that will be taking place at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Again, the poster will be up later on here on realitywhisperer.com, and you can check it out as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, that will be our webcast that will fill in for next week as well too. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I look forward to speaking to you again all very soon in the next few days. Take care. Much love. Feel free to go to realitywhisperer.com. Private sessions, free media, digital courses, a whole bunch of great stuff. And I'll talk to you again soon. Namaste and take care.